Good evening, everybody. Thank you for all joining in. Like Ashley said, I'm Ronald and Broeder, Canadian distributor of the FarmWorks program from Shearwell Data. We got involved with the Shearwell Data company and the FarmWorks program under the pilot project from the Broeder lamb producers, probably like 10 years ago. We were quite impressed with it, and then we got involved with doing technical support. And from there on, we started selling the product. So anyways, we have a little bit of a mixture of people. So we're kind of going to go through pretty much the basics and then a little bit more in what the program can do, what kind of reports you can pull, and just what was mentioned before. If you have any questions, then please let us know. Put it in the chat box, or we do it in the question and answers later on. Shearwell is a company that is based in the UK. It's a private company. It's owned by Rfid Weber, and the name Shearwell actually comes from the fact that he was actually a sheep shearer, and that was his main company. And he came with the idea of the Rfid technology, and he hired a computer fella, and from there on things started growing to a company that now has over 60 people employed in the UK, has an outfit in New Zealand, and is working on an outfit in the States as well. Anyways, there's a lot of talk that it really has nothing to do with the program, but I think we'll start with the FarmWorks program, the way it runs on the computer, and we'll go from there. So this one here is pretty much the FarmWorks program, and I will just go over the headings a little bit from the left to the right. Some of you guys have the program, some of you do not yet. So in the file on the left top corner is where you can change species of animal. There's a sheep side to the program, and there's a cattle side to the program, and also this is where you make backups and restore your data. And I cannot emphasize it enough. Please make backups. Make lots of backups. Make too many backups, because you're better off have too many than none. And we run into it on a regular basis that somebody has, hey, my computer crashed. Okay, where's your backup? Sorry, don't have any. Sorry, I can't really help you. Well, we help them out as much as we can, but that's the easiest way to save your data. The next heading, it says farm records, and this sounds kind of weird, but this is everything that is on your farm that does not change. So I mean locations, breeds, dead reasons, fields, management groups, kinds of medication that you can enter into the program. So all the things that are steady on your farm that never change. Under animal records, it's pretty much everything you do with an animal. So that's where you record your treatments, your lambings, your deaths, your purchases, your movements, your weighings, and your all those kind of things is actually recorded under animal records. And reports is pretty much what it says. That's where you look up information for your management decisions. If you want to see a lambing percentage, or you want to see how many animals you lost over the last year, or what your average cost is of animals that you purchased or sold, that's where you can look that up. Data transfer is really where you connect and communicate with different devices. Sorry about that. Where you connect with different devices. So you connect to the stick reader, to the stock recorder, to our new X6 unit, those kind of things. And setup is where you can actually have some options in the FarmWorks program, how it displays your dates and what kind of breeding animals show up and those kind of things. And of course, under help, one to mention is actually the user manuals. There's a FarmWorks manual, and there is a stock recorder manual that's available there. So So pretty much got that covered. I like to kind of go over the regular grid. So for instance, if you go to reports and you go to sheep, and you go to a flock report, you see this grid showing up onto the computer. And this grid, we call it, comes through the whole program. You see the same format, the same layout throughout the whole program. Right now, in the program that I'm using, the database that I'm using, we got 226 animals in the program currently. And you will see the flock number here in the front, the ear tag number, the management tag if you give it one, the breed, the sex, the date of birth, and the age. So all these animals, you can scroll down and you can scroll up. By selecting an animal, you click in the front and it will tell you one animal selected, one animal selected. Now, another thing some people know, most people know, some people do not. There is this shift and control issue. The shift and control issue that if you click one and you hold your shift key and you click another one, it will fill up all the animals in between. So if you want to go from the top all the way, you click one, press your shift key down, and then you go down, it will select them all of them. If you want to take one or two out, you can hold your control key, and while you're clicking, hold your control key down, and you can actually go down for the amount of animals that you see showing up. You're actually selecting the grid. If you click one without anything, it will just select the one and make this all one out of 220 selected. In the bottom here, you can filter. We call them the filters. You can filter by management group, by breeds, location, and by birth year. You're able in the FarmWorks program to actually record locations like a breeding pen, a sick pen, the east pasture, and you can actually designate animals or assign animals to those locations. And you can actually sort by those locations. For instance, if I click here, I got a blue corral, and I got no animals in the blue corral when I click on it. I got a feeder pen in one. I have no animals in there either. Well, that's a good show. Let me see what I can find. Anyways, if there are animals in one of those locations, they will actually show up. Again, this program, the data is totally not making sense. It is really our teaching data, and you will see animals in here that are 18 years old. But that's kind of what we had. Same here with birth year. If you select, hey, I want to see all the animals that are born in 2013, 2014. Man, my animals are old. 2010, I got then you can actually select those animals. So you can actually fine-tune in the grid the animals that you see. So right now I got 2013 selected, and all the animals that I have on the farm, I got 40 of them that are born in 2013. Clear all, you see them all again. So sometimes if you don't see all the animals, make sure that these are all clear, like that they all say select all. Another handy tip, if you want to sort your animals, just click by instance on the header breed and it will sort them all alphabetically. If you click them again, it will sort it the other way around. And it's the same with your date of birth. January 1st, 2001. And if you go the other way, it is October 2nd, 2020. Okay. Again, in the bottom here, there's quite often there is some information that you can enter. You have a start date and an end date. In this case, it is the date of birth. You can also go by months, minimum age, maximum age. And then there are some animal status where you want to look for, in this situation, animals that are on farm or at market or abattoir or sold. This is just a general report. to look things up. If you want to look at the information, for instance, I want to know about this animal that I just selected, I just view report, and it will pull open a report with that animal that I just selected. Tells me the sex, the date of birth, the age. The animal is 54 months, and it is on farm at breeding pen 1. All right. So this is pretty much the grid about, and you will see the same layout come back throughout the whole program. Another thing that is neat to know, if we go back to this flock report, for instance, if I pull a report for these, whatever it is, 17 animals, I got this report now, and you can print this report by just printing on your printer here, or you can actually export data or send it out. If you go on this little envelope, you can see here that you can actually send it out in a PDF format, Excel, MS Word, rich text format, or the CSV file, I guess. We use quite a bit exported in Excel, and then you have to save it somewhere on your computer, and then later on you can find this information back. There's also a little search button, the binoculars. If you want to look up something in this report, you can text or type in, for instance, the number and find next, and it will actually show you where that animal is on your. If there are more than one sheet of information, these little buttons will be highlighted. You can go one page at a time, or you can go all the way to the last page. It's kind of self-explanatory. Okay. So I like to go to animal details for a minute. So if you go to animal records, animal details, and there you see kind of a lot of information about an animal. Again, the grid is kind of the same thing. We got 0 out of 244 animals. If I select an old animal, for instance, take this one. If you look in the back, it tells you, in the bottom here, it tells you the main details, tells you the tag number, the management tag, Rfid tag, the electronic tag. And so this is actually the chip that it has in its ear. The name, the breed, the date of birth, how old it is, the sex. Is it farm born? No. Is it breeding? Yes. We bought it from Highwood Auction in February 2010, and we paid $875 on it. While this animal is highlighted, also select the treatment tab, and you can see that this animal is treated with Cofactionate in April. It has no comments to it. You can add a comment to an animal pretty much anytime you're either on the stock recorder or on the computer. And that comment that will show up next time when you actually scan that animal. And that's kind of neat. If you have a ewe that you want to cull or you want to check because he aborted on you, you can add a comment to that animal that you do today, and you put in cull, and you say show next time when it's seen on the stock recorder. Then if you save it, then you will be good to go. Right? You can add a picture to the animals, put it on your computer, put a file, and your weights, all the previous weights will show up. This animal never lambed because it has no lamb history. Pretty much it. One thing that we did not talk about yet is right now it says here few current stock in the above grid. So these 244 animals are the animals that are currently in the program, that are currently on my farm. If I click view old and dead stock, you have 454 animals in the system that are not on the farm, that are either dead or sold or slaughtered or moved out of the farm, and they are in the category few and old and dead stock. These animals have been on the farm. They're either been, they could be stillborn lambs, but they're still old and dead stock because they're still part of your farm operation. And the third category that we have is reference animal. Well, right now we have no reference animals in here. If you buy a breeding bull or a breeding ram from somebody, and you know the pedigree, you can enter the pedigree from that ram, and pedigree animals will be in here. So those animals are on your not on your farm, but they are still in the program. All right. Making mistakes. We all make mistakes, and there is something really neat in the program. That if you go to farm records, and you're going to go to go to animal records, and you go to delete record. So you see again pretty much the same layout again, right? Got 698 animals that are totally in the program, like they're either current animal or old or dead stock animals, and you can delete them. Now, generally speaking, you never delete an animal. You either sell an animal, or the animal dies. It will never be deleted. If you delete an animal, you delete the pedigree from that animal. Okay? So if you have a ewe that had 10 lambs, and you delete that ewe, all of a sudden those lambs don't have that mom anymore. You lose your pedigree. So something neat that's in here is what's called a partial deletion. If you select partial deletion and you select an animal, for instance, you made a mistake that you marked this animal that it died, but it did not really die. So you look up in your software when the animal died, and if the animal died on October 1st, if you read all the fine print, you can actually delete all the information after September 30th. So you delete the fact that the animal passed away on you, and it will come back alive on your farm, on the location where it was. Keep in mind that everything after September 30th of that animal will be erased out of the program. So if the animal had lambs after, or if the animal had anything else that you recorded, that will also be deleted. So you got to be a little careful when you do this, but it's actually a pretty neat tool. If you put a wrong tag in a wrong animal, those kind of things, you can actually undo that this way. Okay. Other thing we were going to talk about, and I kind of run in that when I used this program for the first time. When we have the stock recorder, we got the stock recorder, and we were really excited to go into the barn and start scanning animals. Well, really, you got to take a little bit of time and set up your farm. And most of the setup is done under here, their farm records. So some of the things that you need to set up, if you plan on using medications and treat your animals and record your treatments, you got to put your supplier of your medication into the program, right? Same with abattoirs. If you ship animals to a slaughterhouse, you got to put a slaughterhouse in. If you have special breeds that are not in the system, you actually have to create those breeds. It's not very hard, like the breeds do. If you want to create a breed, you go to breed, you add a new breed, you do the description, you type it in, and you add the breed, and it will be in your list of all the breeds of animals that are in your program. But if you're with your stock recorder and you're ready to record the animal and it is not in there, it's a little bit annoying. But you gotta take time to set up your farm and your operation before you really can use it. Same thing, medicines. There are a lot of medicines in the system. It's not very hard to create your own medication. Type in the name, the manufacturer. You select if it's for use in cattle and for use in sheep, and you do the withdrawal dates, and off you go. One thing that you got to keep in mind, if you want to look up oxytetracycline, for instance, there are a whole bunch of oxytetracyclines in here, and they are European withdrawal dates, and you have to double check that whatever says on the bottle actually correspond with the withdrawal dates that are in the program. Okay. We got oxytetracycline here that we got a 28 days, while if you use this oxytetran 20 LA, is only 21 days, so you got to make sure you keep an eye. All right, let's go next step here for a minute. Let's talk about ear tags. Again, going back to animal details. Like you see, their flock number and the ear tag is actually part of the ear tag. Okay? If I, for instance, select this, enter 85N, the tag number is ENT85N, and that's what the animal is. That's the main identifier. Okay? Management tag, secondary tag that will redirect to your main ear tag. So your flock number and your ear tag is the main identifier. Your management tag is an underlying tag number that will correspond to your 85N. So there are different ways you can enter animals into the system. You can enter them with like the NMF, which is for the new mock flock, because that's what this program is called, 227F. But you can also use the 9-digit of your Rfid tag as the tag number, and you actually don't really put in a tag number. So most people give their use like an R26 or 8011 or Blue 15, and for the lambs, they just use the last 9-digit. They decide to keep that lamb for breeding purposes, they put a dangle tag in and then do a change tag number on the stock recorder, and then the Rfid tag number will still stay onto that animal, so you can still scan it, and it will. So again, if we select this guy, you see the NMF is the flock number, and it is the tag number, and it is the electronic tag number, the Rfid chip, which is the same last 9-digit. Okay. Okay. To add a current animal into the program actually get done quite easy on the computer. If you go to animal records, you go to animal details, and you click here. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Animal records, add current animal. So the flock ID, we make new mock flock, and I want to put a couple animals in that I'm going to call the 778899. Okay, now my computer is doing weird. Up 7788. Oh, we want to check this off because I don't like this. 778899, and the date of birth you select, and I say, okay, it is born in September 1st. I'm going to leave the management tag blank. I'm going to call it a Suffolk Cross. This is a ewe lamb. I'm not going to give it a name. If you know the dam and the sire, you can actually select it from the drop-down list, or you can leave it blank. Okay. You can decide to stick it in the management group or not. And now if you okay, save the animal is in your system, now you can add the next one that you call 778866, for instance. Okay, save. Then now those animals are in your system. Very simple, very straightforward. If you purchase them, you can also select purchase here, and you can put a purchase date, who you purchase them from, what you paid for them, and so that's one way of adding animals into the system. So what I like to do is I kind of like to talk a little bit about the stock recorder. You can see the stock recorder right here. This is our new model. It kind of looks like this, but I'm not sure if you guys can see that. It's more like a larger cell phone device. We still have the older model around. A lot of people are using the older model. Right now, I figured I'm going to explain a little bit about the newer model. There is one thing that is very important to know, this same between the new and the old model. You go to options, you go to tag options. There is a tag creation button here, EID and type. And we get this question fairly regular, and I figured I'd quickly kind of go tell the difference. When EID is selected and the stock recorder reads a new unknown Rfid tag to the program, it will automatically try to create a new animal with the last 9 digits of the EID tag or the Rfid tag. Okay? So type, on the other hand, if you scan a new unknown Rfid tag, it will try to, well, it will not try, it goes ask you like, hey, a new Rfid tag, who do you want me to link it to? And then you can type in blue 15 or R26 or 8011, and you link it, and then that Rfid tag is linked to the animal. So what a lot of people do is while they're lambing, they leave it on type, scan the U shows up as R26, and they add the information from the lamb. They scan the Rfid tag, the last 9 digits go automatically in the tag box, tag in the ear, and you're done. So, but that's the difference between the EID and type. Okay.
Ronald, there's a question that came through.
Okay.
It said, when adding animals via the computer and you purchase a purebred, where do you add your pedigrees of the stock?
Okay, so the pedigree that can be added if you go to purchase animal, you purchase in, whatever NMF, and you give the number of the tag number. You'll pad it off forever, whatever. This is tag number. It is a U, breed, date of birth. We go back a couple of years. So you can either type in an existing number, or you can type in the number from the animal, and then this will be automatically the pedigree. Okay. Another way you can do that actually is actually enter the pedigree here on an animal. For instance, if you do have an animal in your system, you can actually enter more AI sire or the dam. If you say no, it is not an AI sire, you can actually enter that information in here as well. So you can actually go quite a ways down if you know all the information from the pedigree. I hope that kind of answered the question. So we were kind of right here. So that was the tag options, right? Another cute little thing to know is there is a button here that says comments. The top part is for your auto drafter, so you don't have to worry about it. But on the bottom part, it says show comments, yes or no. Yes should always be on, because if you add a comment to an animal, you want it to show up next time. If you select no, even though when we just created the comment a little while ago, it says yes, it will not show them. So it will just keep rolling through, and you won't get those comments shown. So it should basically be on yes. But you see, once we start scanning animals, we got a lot of comments show up. And if you get a little tired and sick of it, you just click no, and then you can scan them all in without the comments. Again, so the program, we talk about the sheep side and the cattle side, pretty much a mirror in the program. Options, we talked about, you got attack options and the comments. And devices is where you can actually connect to different scale heads or different RFID readers to an auto drafter. The Pari Drent gun will be able to connect to the new device. Fairly simple. If you want to connect to a true test scale head, you click the search button and you go search for it, then it pops up and you click connect and it will connect to its Bluetooth connect. You might have to find it first into your Bluetooth manager, but that's pretty much how it works. Reading sheep tags. Let's go put a bit on the sheep side. We're going to go through all these things here for a minute, but we go to review data first. When you see a tag box highlighted, that means it's ready to read a tag. So now, if you press the button on the side, it will turn red, and now you can actually just scan. I got my little sheep here, and it will actually show up the information of this animal. As you see, this animal is 16 years old, 9 months. Management tag number, the RFID tag number, it's a U. We don't know who the dam is. Okay? If you go to View History or to this one information button, it's the same thing. You go into the individual animal history. So, for instance, you can look at the history and you can look at animal details. Again, it tells you the date of birth, the sex, the dam, the sire is unknown, the breed, and the location where the animal should be at this moment. So if you got a whole bunch of sheep and lambs in different pens and all of a sudden you find a lamb, you can actually scan that ear tag and you can actually see, okay, you're supposed to be in pen 5, and you can put it back in pen 5. Progeny. Progeny, this like the total animals, the total lambs that this sheep had was 11. I told you I had some interesting animals. Last lambed in 2013. And if you go down, there are not 11 animals here. There are only like 6 animals here. Only the animals that are currently on farm or been on farm in the last 160 days will be actually here under the progeny detail. All the animals that died or got sold, they're not on farm anymore. They won't be showing up in here. They had a total of 11 lambs. Weight history. It tells you all the weights from that animal since you start weighing it. It will keep track. So in 2008 it got born. It was 4 pounds, and been weighed in 2011, in 2018, and it was 158 pounds.
There was
history.
Oh, sorry, Ron. Just a quick question. There was a question that says your screen still shows the pedigree tab. Are we onto the handheld device?
You should be able to see the handheld device as well. Or not. Oh, you're not. So I'm showing all this. There we go. I'm so sorry. Do I have to go back then a bit, or what do you want me to do?
Thoughts from the group. If you'd like him to repeat having the right screen up, feel free to unmute or chat in the chat box.
Yes, please. Back up just a titch.
Yeah, go back a little bit. Okay, my screen. Do you see it now? I don't see my border around it.
I see the screen there, but the other section, there you go.
No? Okay, screen. There, now you see it?
Yes, I see both of them. Oh, it keeps disappearing.
That, because I clicked on the other side.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I quickly want to go back to the type and yeah, let's quickly go back to the type and sorry about that, guys. Options, tag options. Here you got EID and type. Okay. EID green means when it sees an unknown RFID tag, it will try to create a tag number with the last 9 digits of that RFID tag. If you put it on type, you scan an unknown RFID tag to the program. It will ask you to link it. Who do you want to link it to? So you can link it to an existing animal if an animal loses his tag, or if you want to link it to an R26. So if you on your computer enter your 100 U's into the program, and under the ear tag you give it all like 85N or 95W, send that information to the stock recorder, and once you have those animals in the race, you scan that RFID tag, and it says, hey, who do you want to link it to? You type in 85N once, and it will link, and next time you scan that RFID tag, 85N will automatically show up. Okay? The comments section here, the top one is for the automatic drafter, and the bottom one is to override really what you want the comments to do. If you want them not to show, you select no. If you still want them to show, you say yes. Devices. You want to connect to a scale head, to a true test scale head, or a Gallagher scale head, or the Shearway scale head, because Shearwell made their own. You go to set up your weigh head, you click your scan button, and it will look for Bluetooth devices. A list will show up. You select the list, and you click connect, and it will connect to that scale head. And that's the same with the RFID reader. Right now, we are connected to the Shearwell Data 330, which is the one that is built onto this unit. If you have a True Test or a Shearwell stick reader, you can actually find it, connect to it as well, instead of the one that's built onto the. Okay. So if we go to sheep for a minute, and we go to review data, if I take an animal, and now you see that the yellow box around the tag box, if I press the scan button and I scan the animal, the number will show up. Right now we actually scanned 2 animals, so it keeps track of your count, tells you the year and the month, the breed, those kind of things. If you go to view history or to the information mark, go into your animal history. If you click on animal history, this is where you can actually look up your animal details, your treatment history, weights, comment history, movement history, etc. Go to animal details when it is born, and the sire and dam, where the animal is at. So again, if you find a lamb, you can scan it and say, hey, you're coming out of pen 5. You go back into pen 5. Progeny, this one has 5 animals, 5 lambs born to herself. 1, 2, 3. There are 4 on the farm. The other one is sold or died. Weight history. It will show you all the weights from that animal previously. And treatment history as well. So this animal, and it goes from the newest to the oldest, number 517R, on the 22nd of February 2018, it had Covaxin. It had also pre-lambing selenium and vitamins. Again, you can see we did shearing April 2014. Again, this is not real data. This is just play data. But it will track exactly for, it had pink eye in 2009, according to this guy. And if you put a dead reason in, make sure you spell it correctly, because you will be looking at it for a long time, or a treatment reason, dead reason and treatment reason. Yeah. So there's a lot of information that you can pull just from scanning an animal. Right? The same with movement history. When it got moved to which location, you can all go stroll back on each. And comment history, if you put comments on an animal, you can actually look them up here. This one has no comment. All right. So what I like to do quickly is go a little bit over recording a couple things in the program. A lot of the things we can record on the computer, and we can also record into the stock recorder. For instance, if we go lambing on the stock recorder, it is once you get used to the program, it's quite self-explanatory. You go to lambing, it asks for the date that the animal lambed, so you click on the date, then you say, okay, October 1st. Now it asks you for the dam tag, so you take a tag, scan the dam tag. Okay. Now a comment pops up way back that we had a little incident. Just click continue, and now it asks for the sire. So now you either can type in the sire, or you can leave it blank. If you had this ewe actually bred through the program, so we actually told the program, okay, this ewe is actually bred to this sire, the sire would automatically fill in the box, and you wouldn't have to enter them in. Okay. You can enter a mothering ability and a milk ability, but we go straight to add lamb. Here you can choose if it's a live lamb or a dead lamb, and I say it is going to be a live lamb, and I'm going to scan an RFID tag. And because we had the unit set on type, it is going to ask me now for a tag number. I'm going to call this number 497AA. I'm going to lock it. Now it's going to ask me, okay, is that lamb a ewe lamb? Yep, it is a ewe lamb. It's going to ask me for the breed. Now, if the mom's breed was in and the sire breed was in, it will actually, and it is the same breed, it will select that breed. If not, you can pick your own. So we're going to pick something interesting. And now we're going to go save and add. And this animal is saved now. And now we can go and add the next animal that we're going to scan, because you're still in the same animal, right? So we're going to call this 497 BB. I'll lock it, and we're going to say it's a ewe lamb, and it thinks it's going to be the same breed as the other one, which makes sense. And now you can go save and add, or you can save and escape. So another thing I didn't mention yet, it asks you for your birth weight. And you see that the default is 4 kilograms. Now, about 85 to 90% of the people weigh their animals in pounds here in Alberta, well, in Canada, really. So just enter the weight in pounds. So if you think that the animal is 7 pounds, you just put in a 7, and that's how you record it. Okay? As long as you're consistent with your pounds, if you enter your animals in pounds here and enter your animals when you're weighing your lambs or your ewes in pounds, then you have no issues whatsoever. It will do your daily life wing gait and all those kind of things. So now we go save and escape, and now you see that we are back into the scan the dam box. Now if you go to information, you go to animal history and progeny, you actually see that those 2 lambs are actually in here. On the computer, oh, and now I pressed the wrong button. On the computer, you can actually do the lambing as well.
Quick question, Ronald, that came through.
Yes.
Is could you add all the information without an RFID, or do you need one for the stock recorder?
You can totally run the whole program without an RFID tag, but it kind of defeats the purpose. Well, yes and no. the whole program is built around the Rfid technology. But for instance, if you want to enter a lamb, right, we're still in the lambing screen from this this view. I can go add a lamb, and it's the tag number, and I can say test 45 is the tag number. I can put, I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. And I select the breed, and my friend is up here, and I can save and add, and that animal is safe now without scanning the tag, just by typing it in. So you can totally run the whole program without scanning. But so for instance, lambing on a computer, the principle is pretty much the same. You go to something that you do with an animal, so you go to animal records, and you go to lambing, and you're gonna lamb born, alive or dead, and it's pretty much going to ask you for the same information. It's going to ask you the date, ask you the animal that you want to lamb it to. You fill out the ear tag, management tag, if you know the sire or the dam, the sex, the breed, and then you hit OK and save, and it will be recorded program as well. Another thing that we use the stock rig for is weighing quite a bit. And more information you put into the program, the more information you're able to get back out. Very important to do your 8-week weight or your 50-day weight. And it's also very important to grab your weaning weight. So when you have your lambs at 6 weeks or 8 weeks and you're actually going to go wean them, even if you don't wean them, it's very important to actually select your wean weight and actually scan the lamb, weigh the lamb, even though it says kilogram, just record it in pounds. Because later on in the program, you can pull up some really cool reports like average life, daily weight gain, and adjusted 50-day weight, and you can actually do weaning reports and those kind of things. So the same thing, I'm going to pick it up a little bit here. So you're weighing, you're lambing, treatments. If you want to treat an animal on the stock recorder, pretty much the same thing. Select the date, scan the medication, select the medication, tell them how much milliliters you want to give them, tell them the reason. Oh, it is we want to vaccinate. I'll do your vaccination. And the treater. Now you scan the animal. So if you scan the animal, now the animal is actually treated. Then you can say, okay, I want to treat the next guy, scan the next guy. The next one is treated, and on you go. So it doesn't take much to record treatments or any of those things. Same with fostering. If you want to foster a ewe, a lamb to a different ewe, select the date, you set the reason, you scan the mom, you scan the lamb, you scan the foster dam, you scan the lamb, and you save it, and they're fostered. Pretty much the same, dead reasons, movement, purchases, sales. Want to change the tag number. If you want to do pregnancy scanning, you scan the ewe. It shows up if you scanned before, and you can put in how many are in utero and how many weeks they think it's pregnant, and you can save it. And later on, you can actually compare that information to the actual lambing date. Grouping is something that's very cool. The management groups, if you want to stick animals in a management group, you can actually create a group here, and then you can scan the animal in it, or you can select the management group that we have in the system already. Management group, it sounds really cheesy, but I think it's almost the most powerful thing that's in the program. It's just a list of animals, but that list you can pull up wherever you go. So, for instance, if you put 10 ewes through and you record them into a management group, right, and you create a management group that you call 2000. What are we? 2022 1005, and you scan 10 animals in here. Throughout the whole program, you can pull up that list with those 10 animals. So throughout the whole program, you can treat them, you can breed them, you can move them to a different location, you can sell them. You can do all those actions just by scanning them only once and having them in that group. That's pretty neat. Another quick one, very lightly drafting. It's pretty much set up for automatic drafting crate, but you can also draft manually. You can draft by weight. You can save the weight into management groups, or you can save the weight and you can save the management groups that they go into. So if, for instance, if you go here and you go here and you go next, now it asks you the weight and which direction to go. And then in the next step, it will ask you to name the management groups where each animal goes. So when the animal walks in and you say, okay, everything less than 60 pounds go left, everything 60 to 90 pounds go forward, they will end up all into this management group that later on you can pick up the program.
There's another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says regarding grouping, if you were to scan a tag, will it tell you what group that animal is in?
No. No, it will not. But if you have animals in a group and you want it to pop up, you can go to that group and you might make a comment to those animals that they pop up next time you scan them. For instance, people do that. They stick all the animals into a cull group, right? They started a management group that's called cull group. And when it is time to sort them out, they go into the program and they call up that. So for instance, here you go to comments and you pull up that management group that you call cull, that is not in here, but you pull up that management group that's cull. All those 10 animals that are here, you select all, and then you add a comment to here that you say, cull this year, and make sure that it shows on the stock recorder. You send that information back to the stock recorder, and now next time you scan the animal, it will pop out and you know which animal to pull out. We're kind of running a little late, so I'm going to go and talk a little bit quickly about different reports, if that's okay. So some of the reports here, if you go to sheep, to the header sheep, there are a whole bunch more reports that are showing up. Flock report is pretty much just a basic general lookup. If you want to look, for instance, a lambing report, again, you still get the same kind of idea from the grid. You can sort by management group, by location. So if you want a lambing report only from pen 1, you can actually pull up pen 1 and only get a lambing report from that. Or you can put a lambing report by a certain breed, right? And you can do a start range and end rate. So if you say, hey, I want to see which animals lambed in January, you put in January 1st to January 31st, pull a report, and then you get those animals up. I actually just entered a few animals in here that lambed, so I'm just going to go to the end of September. Gives you an idea what the lambing report looks like. Tells you the dam tag, the dam management tag, if it had one, the date of birth that the animal got born, the tag number, the birth weight in pounds, I entered it, and the litter size, sire of the tag number of the sire. So here was one that is stillborn. I had 2 stillborns. Okay. So, another thing to see is actually, we talked about management groups. You can scan animals to get them into a management group. You can also click on the top here, and it says add these lambs in this report into a management group. So if you do so, it will take those whatever lambs we got. 6 lambs, it will actually stick them into a management group that later on you can look up anywhere through the program. So that gets kind of interesting. For instance, if you want to have only a triplets to show up, I have no triplets in here, you pull a report, triplets, and then you can actually make a management group with all your lambs in from the triplets, and then you can pull those guys out, and then you can say, okay, these are going to be my replacement ewe lambs. So sheep lambing report, projected lambing based on scanning. So if you pregnancy scan your animals, you can actually pull a report, and it will tell you when those animals are supposed to lamb. Same again, based on tupping. Tupping is the British word for breeding. I don't know why they didn't change that, but tupping is basically breeding. If you breed your animals and you, on the day, then whatever it is, 5 months, around 5 months, it will tell you that they can start lambing. Those. Another neat one is sheep not lambed. If you want to pull a report, for instance, from sheep that are not lambed, you can put a start date in, end date, and it will show you all the animals that did not lamb. So, for instance, if I go back 1 year, and I pick October 1st, 2021, and I pretty much have all my animals that didn't lamb because there are no records in here. So I got 197 animals that didn't lamb in that time period. So really, if this would be a farm, those 197 animals should go on the truck next week, Tuesday, and go to the auction, right? Post this. Reports. Sheep not lambed. Okay, so there's some other things here that are pretty neat. I will just kind of go over it quickly. Animal details. If you want to look for an animal, you can actually select what you want to see, and this might be a neat little thing. If you want to sell a ewe or two, you can actually say, okay, I want all my my weights, my treatments to be in a piece of paper that you can actually hand to the buyer for that kind of information. So if I pick, for instance, this animal and I look at the report, no clue what's going to show up. So this animal has never been treated or anything, but it tells you the tag number, management tag, those kind. There are so many reports, locations and movements. You can actually look up animals at what time they were at some location or between certain times where they moved from, and you can select actually different locations. It's pretty helpful if you're trying to find where this animal went. If you miss an animal, you can actually see, okay, when did she move, where did she move to? Actually, put here. Yeah, loss report is never a fun one to look at, but it's very important, and you can see exactly how many animals lost. Veterinarian is your treatment report, which is kind of neat. That's another thing to keep attention when you record a treatment. For instance, you have a ewe that is panting, and you give it a shot of Wrestler or whatever you give it. Make the disease the same. Don't call it panting one day, lung the next day, pneumonia the next day, not able to breathe the next day, because right now you can actually find, and you can put in a phrase in here, and it will pull up all the animals that are treated for that disease. So it's really cool if you actually want to see, okay, how many animals did I actually treated for foot rot, or how many actually did I treat for lice, or how many did I actually treat for lung problems or pink eye. You can actually pull it up here, and then those animals will show up. And then if you want to, again, you can add those animals into a management group, and that management group you can then later on pull out while you're drafting animals. I think, okay. Really one thing I want to notice yet. Another thing that is in the program is if you go to data transfer, PCA export reports is getting mandatory to record tag retirements and cross-reference tags. It will actually create those reports for you that you can upload. And the same Genovis, it will export reports for Genovis that they can use to evaluate your data. I can keep going for another hour, but I think it's 8 o'clock, so we should maybe open it for a couple questions, if that's okay. if there are any.
For these questions, to those attendees or registrants, feel free to just unmute yourself. You don't have to worry about using the chat box unless you prefer to use it.
Don't be shy.
Give it another couple of seconds here. Like Ronald said, don't be shy.
Yeah, because you're going to ask a question. I'm sure there are other people that have the same idea, but they don't dare to ask it.
I actually have a quick question. When tapping, and I guess this might depend on how you've organized or your tags and your rams, but when tapping, for adding the sire details in, if I give them a management name, like how we know them by, instead of their EID tag number, if I put in their management number or name, will that associate with their EID number?
But yes, what I would do, for instance, if you have, let's go look at, you can still see me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Animal data. If I select rams here, for instance, okay, right here, right now, for instance, we have 411R with this bullwinkle. If you want bullwinkle to show up, you got to rename this guy to bullwinkle. And right now it has RFID tag number here, right? So this is RFID tag number. So when you scan this tag, this number will show up. So if you want to change that, we close this, go to animal records, and we're going to record tag replacement. And we, for instance, we do it today, and we're going to pull up my rams here. So we got bullwinkle here. And right now in the bottom, I highlighted it, right? So in the bottom it says the flock number is NMF, and the new name is going to be bullwinkle. Right? No, whatever, we call him Bull Winley. and it asks you for a reason, and we just go because. And now if I save this, it changed his name. So now next time when we scan that animal, Bull Winley will show up as tag number. That will be his tag number now, Bull Winley.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions? Questions are actually most fun. We get all the ones from the regarding.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in the chat, so we'll give it another about 20 seconds in case there's any others that come through. Also, if you think of a question later, you can feel free to send me an email and I can connect you with Ronald as well. That way you're able to connect with him offline if you would like.
Sure. How do you replace the lost RFID tag? All right. So in order to replace a lost RFID tag, you got to remember to go onto your stock recorder, go to options, and you go to tag options, and you go to type. Okay? There are two ways to do it actually. If you have your animals in your system as an R25 or 8511, this is what you do. You go to type, you escape, and now you just go to the sheep procedure site. I would normally go to review data. Now I scan a tag, and now it asks you who to lock it to. And now you type in R26 or 5588, and you lock it. And now that tag number will be locked to that animal. So when that animal shows up next time, you can either scan the new RFID tag or the old RFID tag, and the same animal will show up because the tag number is the main identifier. Another thing you can do, if you have your options on EID, if you use the last 9 digits for the tag number as your official tag number, you can actually go and change tag number. And the old tag number you got to type in, but that only works if you tag don't work. If you can still type in the number, and then you scan the new tag, and then the new tag will actually replace the. Yep, that's pretty much. All right.
One last call for questions. All right, well, I'm not seeing anything come in here, so I would like to thank you, Ronald, and to all of our participants who joined us this evening. This will conclude the webinar. I will be sending an email to everyone who registered for this evening's session that will include a link to where you can access the webinar recording, and as well as Ronald's contact information as well.
Sounds good.